According to Dr. Niculescu, if reality is the same, it has to be the same everywhere. According to Aristotle, nature is something independent of us. Newton's laws of physics told us that a real world exists independently of us, regardless of whether we observe it or not. But now, says Niculescu, discoveries in quantum mechanics are revealing to us that nature is not independent of us, that we are in unity with nature and the universe. And for him, this way of perceiving the world has an extraordinary impact on the theory of knowledge.
Old idea of philosophy, of modern philosophy, of modern metaphysics, which is based upon the subject-object separation, is coming to the fact that it's just one level of reality, nothing else. And from there comes this extraordinary power of belief people had in the 19th century, 18th, 17th, but especially in the 19th century, in the power of science.
For researchers like Dr. Niculescu, the mechanistic and deterministic view of the world is now leaving its place to a more indeterministic view. It is now opening doors to new levels of reality.
The scientists proclaim the only truth is science. It's based upon this idea. Now, quantum mechanics came and they say no. It's not, nature is not at all what you imagine. Nature is something richer, has at least two levels. Now, if you can have two, you can have three, you can have four, you can have different numbers. So you have layers. That's the idea of levels of reality of the object. So you have levels like I just described, quantum level and macrophysical level, but you can have other levels, for example, cyberspace level. Physics, we speak about superstring level, which is supposed to unify all interaction. There are different layers, different levels.
Dr. Niculescu explains the layers of reality in another way. He compares it to the way different people are able to understand different kinds of poets.
If you take a poet, classical poet like to take Lamartine from French poetry, which is just classic. Anybody can understand this poetry, it's not problem. Now, if you have a more complicated poetry like that of Mallarmé, who was a hermetical poet, a completely different structure, if in yourself you don't have a level of perception of it, you will say it's rubbish, it's nonsense, I understand nothing. It's not that it's nothing to understand, it's the fact that you stay in yourself just on one level of your perception. If you allow yourself to be free, to discover in yourself this huge potentiality that everybody has, at that moment you understand the poetry of Mallarmé, the poetry of Lamartine, at the same time, but at different levels.
Dr. Niculescu speaks of another level of knowing that transcends the subject-object model.
So, what is the solution? To say that is a third term between them, which forbids the fusion of the subject and object. Subject and object remain different. When I'm looking to a tree, of course I can have communication of information between the tree and myself. I can even dream that I become the tree becomes myself, but still the tree is different from myself. The subject is different from the object. But a circulation of information, circulation of consciousness in the subject is such that reestablish this unity of the subject and the object, but through a zone which is non-resistant to our representation, to our formalizations, to our descriptions, to our theories. And this I call the hidden third.
According to Dr. Niculescu, transdisciplinary studies can be a remedy for the current division of the academic disciplines.
There is no contradiction between disciplines and transdisciplinarity. On the contrary, I would say that transdisciplinarity, this unity of the world, goes through disciplinary knowledge. So it's not a negation of the disciplinary knowledge. But what is in question is ultra-high specialization. Because it's a process we have from the beginning of the university.
In the 8th century, when the first university was established, there were 7 disciplines plus the study of the Bible, according to Niculescu. Today, there are over 100 times as many. So how does this impact our ability to understand reality?
Now, the number of disciplines change with time, and faster and faster and faster is what I called in my manifesto of transdisciplinarity. I call that a big bang, a disciplinary big bang. We arrive today, there's a very serious poll made by National Science Foundation in the United States, counts more than 8,000 different disciplines in the academic world. I don't speak about non-academic world. 8,000. So we have 8,000 ways to look to reality. Each of them claim more or less they are the only way to see reality. So, what is an expert? An expert is a specialist in one discipline, but this means that an expert has not knowledge of all the other 7,999 disciplines.
So for Niculescu, what is necessary for understanding the true nature of reality is transdisciplinary. As the prefix trans indicates, transdisciplinarity, a term introduced in 1970 by Jean Piaget, concerns that which is at once between the disciplines, across the different disciplines, and beyond each individual discipline. Its goal is the understanding of the present world, of which one of the imperatives is the overarching unity of knowledge.
Transdisciplinarity is the science and art of establishing links between different ways of knowledge. Links especially connect with the presence of the subject. Transdisciplinarity is not about an object, cannot be about an object, like geography has an object, physics has an object. Every discipline has an object. Transdisciplinarity has not an object because it's about the interaction of the object with the subject. Okay, so transdisciplinarity is this modern, postmodern or postmodern kind of way of understanding what can be this old dream that humanity had from the beginning of unifying knowledge. But unifying knowledge in the presence of more than 8,000 disciplines.
Most of us are not in the habit of thinking about life and reality in this way. We have plenty of other habits, to be sure. Perhaps this is a good habit we need to develop, to ask ourselves on a regular basis, who am I? What do I believe? What is the purpose of life? And how do I know what I think is real is really real? Thanks for taking this journey with us, and please join us next week for Matter and Beyond.